Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Wood Elves and Grand Cathay here on the Glade of the Ever Queen. It's going to be Hitman Hippo with Mel Gibson facing off against Martinius, who's going to be rocking the very powerful Iron Dragon. Let's see how this goes. Should be fun. Hopefully we get an epic duel between them at some point in the game. That would be awesome. And let's break down the armies. So for the Wood Elves here in Vanguard, going to be Dryads coming out of their natural habitat, which is the tree line. Now, Orion, what does he bring to the table in this matchup? He does the Vanti-Large, which of course is going to be good against the dragon characters if he fights them, or any of the Cav, Jade Lions, whatever. He's going to be good against all those pieces, and his bombardments are actually not terrible. He does have the Hounds of Orion, did not bring the Hawk's Talon, but you can drop this on top of like Iron Hail Gunners or Infantry, and it does have some respectable AP values, but overall, a bit of a dangerous pick. Can be sniped, but, potentially can do some great work with 7,000 HP, very quick, very disruptive, and does cause terror as well. We got a couple Deep-Wood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards. They're going to be trying to ambush up on some of the, Peasant Spears, Iron Hail Gunners, Crossbowmen, Peasant Archers. All those lightly armored targets are what they really want to be shooting. And two of the new and improved Wildwood Rangers. So these guys are in a very good spot now. They're basically like great swords with Vanguard and less armor and better stats. But yeah, really, really rad unit. I've been seeing them do very well in tournaments. Like we had a tournament the other day where, they were soloing a bunch of like foot characters and really just doing a ton of work. I think that's it for the Wood Elf army with a couple spears and archers in the tree line here. Now for the great Martinius. Martinius is going to be rocking Peasant Horseman, Iron Dragon, and the dreaded triple Crane Gunner. Oh my god, this is so risky. Wood Elves are such a good compromising faction, like just at hunting you down. They have, compromising isn't the word, they're good at compromising your backfield. Their archers can do a ton of work, and on top of that, Glade Riders are just so fast and so effective. I mean, Peasant Horsemen and Jade Lancers can effectively defend that, especially if you're going to be using the Crowmen as well, but it's not easy, but with good micro it can be done. So a duel of fates of sorts. Iron Dragon going to be anime floating towards Orion. Orion throwing spears. Oh, the fight of fight. We got it right away. Dude, he like karate kicked them. Oh, that was cool. And it looks like he did connect. Both of these mighty fighters are going to be dueling it out. Orion does have access to healing when he gets low, so that is quite nice. And so far, he's winning the fight, it looks like. He's connected pretty much non-stop here with Zhao Ming. He does have a big charge bonus of 72, so on the charge, he's going to be cackling pretty hard, while Zhao Ming is going to be sitting at only 35, right? So Glade Riders on their way in. Certainly call it a bit of a duelist win here for the Wood Elves, and the Glade Riders, where are they going to be going? They do end up charging the Iron Dragon, but I'm not sure what his plan is with that. On the other side, we do get a Jade Lion coming in. Now, Jade Lions do magic damage and hit hard, so on paper, they should be good against Dryads, but a lot of things are good on paper. Like Rogue Idols look great on paper, as you guys have seen, but they basically do no damage. I don't know what it is. It's something about their attacks, but they are an absolute meme. Peasant Horsemen are going to be chasing down the Glade Riders, pretty even in terms of stat lines, but the Glade Riders do have a slight advantage. And now the Crane Gunners are going to be shooting out from their tree line concave. And this is a really good spot because there's not much room to flank here, so they can just kind of sit in the trees and bombard this objective very effectively. We do see the Glade Riders, or Glade Guard, getting forced back by the Crane Gunners, and now Crane Gunners shooting over here as well. And I really like this kind of deployment and playstyle here from Martinius. I think it's very, very sweet. Orion going to be retreating while we do get the Deep-Wood Scouts advancing up, looking to put some hurt down on the Peasant Lung Spears. That's the idea for sure. Going to soften them up and then advance on the objective here. And I believe these guys have stock as well, don't they? They have Vanguard deployment. They do have, man, having a sneaky Great Weapon unit is so good, because one of the big issues with Great Weapons is getting them into combat. People see them coming, they focus fire them, especially like a Greatsword type unit. But the fact that those things have Vanguard is so freaking money. That's so great. So charging from the Glade Riders is a little bit risky, and Orion is also going to be following up, looking to get a little bit of work done. And the Spellsinger of Life is out here with Awakening of the Wood and Earthblood. Dryad still hiding back in the tree line. Very, very good defensive position, although it looks like the Crane Gunners are a little bit out of position here in terms of the hill. They're going to have some line of sight issues. They still will be able to shoot. The Hounds of Mel Gibson doesn't do that much damage. The Hawk's Talon is actually, I think, the better of those bombardments. But honestly, if you're going to be bringing Orion, I'm a big fan of bringing both of them. But yeah, the objectives right now are going to be flipping to Grand Cathay, and they're happy to just kind of hunker down with their wall of harmony and steel and try and hold objective 3 here, as Orion and this other character are actually contesting the objective, making it a little bit harder for Cathay to flip it. So Cathay is going to need to send some spears up there or some other units to do what they can. Now, Hitman Hippo is saving up maybe for a Cav Alpha Strike. He could just be summoning in like 5 Cav pieces at once and just doing a mass dive on his opponent's army, which is not going to be easy. Although, do we have the Horn of the Wild Hunt? So the Horn of the Wild Hunt is, we have Cloak of Isha, and that looks to be pretty much it. Okay, so that's not going to be the case here. On the outside, the Deep-Wood Scouts with these Swift Shivering Shards really looking to get a juicy ambush here. And that makes sense. Cathay is so rock-hard entrenched here, and they're just going to be, crushing the Wood Elves in value if they fight here because of the Crane Gunners, which are doing a lot of work so far. They've actually gotten Mel Gibson pretty low, and he's not going to be yelling freedom much longer if he keeps staying in that area. So yeah, they're going to be ambushing on this point. We do see the scouts coming in, the Great Long Marauders. Just a standard variant. I do like that. Wood Elves are pretty lightly armored, and these guys have a really good charge denial, because if they're attacking a Wild Rider, for example, the Wild Riders aren't going to get the charge, which is huge. Awakening of the Wood going down, which is going to be proccing a heal, and we do see the Wood Elves holding onto this objective just barely by parking their characters on it, so it looks like Hitman Hippo's really trying to milk this, but he is taking a lot of damage in the process. Dryads hanging out nearby, and I'm surprised we haven't seen the trap sprung yet from these guys. Very cautious play. I think that Hitman Hippo is going to be waiting for maybe this objective to be lost, and then he's going to go for it. And Orion, once again, going full Mel Gibson here. He's going to be hunting down the Iron Dragon, which Iron Dragon has that huge heal. He's very tough to deal with. We do get the Jade Lion coming in, and the Spellsinger of Life also going to be helping out. And Orion is trading very well, but I mean, man, the Crane Gunners nearby potentially going to get slapped up pretty good. And I am really shocked we're not seeing this yet. Okay, here they come. So the Deepwood Scouts are going to be moving up before they shoot, and the 2 Wildwood Rangers will be advancing in. Hitman Hippo sitting on 3,800 supplies. What is this madman doing? This is pretty nuts. I don't know what he's scheming, but there's got to be some fat schemes here, guys. I have no idea what he's got planned. I mean, other than summoning Mass Cab, maybe he summons like 4 Wild Riders and like 2 Glade Riders, and his opponent's like, oh dear God, just like a huge swarm, right? Now, looking at the points, the Wood Elves are ahead on points, so they have a little bit of cushion, and the Great Long Marauders going to be scouting about. Earthbloods are on the table, and there are Dryads and Archers hiding in the trees very cautiously up here on the objective. The Deepwood Scouts, oh my God. Are they going to creep around and snipe the Crane Gunners in the back? That is such a Spec Ops play, because these Peasant Long Spearmen are not going to see them. I mean, right now, he has no idea those things are back here. The Crowmen are going to be spotting. I believe they have more vision range by 80%. So the Crowmen are really good at spotting sneaky stealth units, but they're not in the right area. So those tactics, look at these guys getting back here. Gotta love to see it. So Orion going to be taking a lot of firepower. Meanwhile, in the woods, we do see the Peasant Horsemen advancing out, and the Peasant Long Spearmen, or Horsemen, Long Spearmen, okay. The only problem with this Deepwood Scout play is that they're going to get killed very quickly. All the Cav are going to be turning about face, and the Long Marauders are going to be on their tail really quickly. There's a lot of things that are going to go very south for them. But, I mean, if the Crane Gunners do get compromised, yeah, there's no real good way to get the Crane Gunners here. This is a very clever deployment by Martinius. It's hard to break. So, ooh, man, they got to be careful. Peasant Horsemen are nearby. If they get a little bit closer, they're going to be detecting those stealth units. Long Marauders are still scouting about. And we do finally see some Collins here. So it is the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, so armor-piercing cav. And aside from that, it's just the Wild Hunters of Kurnus. He's still got 2,600 supplies saved up. But he has cushion, right? He had the 2 objectives for some time, so we can chill out. So do a little bit of fast forwarding while the Benny Hilling continues. Some light skirmishing over here. Dryads getting attacked by the Long Marauders, but nothing terribly substantial. Orion just hanging out in the woods. And now the trap is going to be sprung. Oh my God, look how deep he is with the Deepwood Scouts. That is hilarious. That is one of the deepest infiltrations I've ever seen. And the Wood Elves are now going to be advancing out, calling out what appears to be Wildwood Rangers and more Wild Rider units. And they're just going to be trying to stuff Cathay and get a triple cap on them, which is very possible. We got the 2 great open units, which are going to just mulch through these Peasant Long Spearmen. Wild Hunters of Kurnus are nearby to deny any big scary cav charges. And look at the ambush. The ambush has sprung. So here we see the Deepwood Scouts. I bet you Martinius was so confused right now, not knowing where those shots are coming from. Oh, this is the most Wood Elf game I've ever seen. So the Wood Elves nail down those Crane Gunners, talk about Value City, and now they're just going to be switching their focuses onto the other Crane Gunner. And I'm sure Martinius isn't even noticing this. He's probably microing elsewhere, just taking a lot of losses in the backfield. Meanwhile, the Wild Riders do get a charge into the back of the Jade Lancers here, and overall, Wild Hunters of Kurnus should have a very happy trade versus the Long Riders. And yeah, they're going to lose probably a 3v1 here, but they'll value trade pretty effectively, and the Great Open units can also come over and help them. Another Crane Gunner is going to get taken offline, and Mel Gibson valiantly leads his charge in and pulls a value. It's just equal now. All right, so the value is more or less equal. Orion is incredibly tough to kill. Like I said, when he gets low, he heals himself and gets ward save. So very tough one there. But the Wild Riders on the outside, holding their own against the Long Riders. They are going to get some reinforcements from the other Wild Riders and take a big old pit fight here. But I would imagine maybe some Crowmen are going to be called in. A couple of the Great Weapons do make their way over, and they have good generalist stats. They have 40 melee attack, so even against non-infantry targets, Wildwood Rangers do some good work, but really cool to see them in action. And it looks like the forces of Grand Cathay are going to be fleeing the scene from the Great Opens and all those units. That is certainly not a winning fight for them. So is Cathay going to be able to get the objective back? I mean, the Crane Gunners were doing so good and really screening out the forces of the Wood Elves. But at the end of the day, they got ambushed hard, man. And I think all 3 of them might potentially die here. We do see Martinius does respond to this in the 4th quarter. He's able to get the Peasant Horsemen around here, jump on top of the Deepwood Scouts. Colin is going to be some Celestial Dragon Guard. A decent fighting unit. They'll give you a little bit of fighting power and capture weight up on the objective. And Orion is going to be duking it out with Xiaoming the Iron Dragon. So far, performing well, but Xiaoming is going to get his heal soon, I would imagine. Not metal shifting, but yeah, he probably brought the Burning Band braces. You have to bring it. Yeah, so he's going to get his fat heal, but it looks like Cathay is getting folded up by the superior infantry. So the Wildwood Rangers able to really cut through the Jade Warriors here. Eternal Guard also trading well and cutting through a lot of units, and the Jade Lion seems to be struggling. So yeah, this is a very rough situation for Grand Cathay. One of the worst factions in the game at grabbing objectives back. They're really good at like anchoring on objectives with their Harmony if they can get their initial clutches on it, but aside from that, reclaiming objectives is probably one of the biggest weaknesses of the faction. And once again, the awesome Wildwood Rangers are just getting the work done and cutting through these Jade Warriors, which they will cut through like butter. On this side, a pretty decisive fight, and I really don't see any chances now for Martinius. I mean, despite the fact that he's okay on value, remember there is healing in the Wood Elves. They have done a bit of healing, and it looks like the Hounds and Mel Gibson are going to be released here on the Crane Gunners. And yeah, there's no way, like absolutely no chance. It's going to be 1250, and it, even if they did start to get some momentum back, it would be a Helm's Deep situation. You would just have the Wood Elves camping on their home objective, and there's no way Cathay could, get enough of a front to get there. And the value is already too close. So Orion duking it out, and is he going to go down? It looks like Martinius is going for the consolation points, 1,300, and the Cloak of Isha is now activated. So the Cloak of Isha is going to be giving, I think it's 20% ward save. Trying to get a click on it here. It's a little bit tricky. Come on, Orion, give it to me, baby. Oh, he's not going to do it. All right, we'll look later, but I'm pretty sure it's around that much. So Ryan just kind of being a distraction. We do get some War Dancers arriving. In the back, it's going to be more Glade Riders with Spears. Crushing defeat for Cathay over here on Objective 1. And ladies and gentlemen, that's probably going to be it. I think at this point, we're safe to fast forward. We do see Orion battling, but he is just an absolute Chad, hanging in there, not going down. And finally, he yells freedom and does collapse. Cathay is able to roll up and maybe resecure Objective 3, but you can see the points are just too bleak here. And like I said, Cathay does do a good job of rebounding after that, but it's too little too late. That was one of the craziest ambushes I've ever seen. Like, the amount of effort and infiltration to go all the way around with like a 40 movement speed unit, that's pretty nuts. So yeah, the Crane Gunners were doing awesome. I mean, look at their value until they got shut down. 2,000, 1,500, 800. But them getting shut down, that was like Cathay's big centerpiece, right? And when they got folded, that was pretty much it. So I'm sure Martinius will, because if he had stopped that ambush, I think Martinius wins the game. He was value trading a little bit better, had pretty good positioning, and lost a ton of momentum. He had to pull assets back from the front line to also stop that. So that was, a lot of things not going well. But Orion did good at 2,300, but most of that was against the Iron Dragon, which isn't really like great value to get because he just heals. And we also saw the power of the Wildwood Rangers with pretty good value on most of them. 700, 500, not bad at all against Cathay. T-Put Scouts were the real heroes that Gotham needed. And looking at the build here, yeah, it looks like a good build, honestly. I'm not a big fan of these Lion things, but I know more people have been using them lately. But yeah, Cathay is a very difficult faction to play. I feel like they're not very forgiving. I know in land battle, you just unga bunga and sit in a box, but in Dom, they're not forgiving. You really, really have to screen properly, and positioning is like uber important for that faction because you need the harmony, you need to have line of sight. There's a lot of stuff that's very, very tough to do with them. So GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We'll see you on the other side. Take care of yourselves, and that is it for tonight.